topics that we're going to discuss relating to the pandemic tonight. And I would, again, just remind everyone to adhere to the guidelines that have been in place for some time. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Brian Booth if he would say the invocation for us.
Dear Lord, as we come before you tonight, dear Heavenly Father, Lord, watch over this meeting that we have, dear Heavenly Father, that we have the best interests of the county before us, dear Heavenly Father. And Lord, remember the Mullins family tonight, dear Heavenly Father, as one of our employees have lost his father, dear Heavenly Father. Go with us, lead and guide, and watch over us. Amen.
Amen. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Judge Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Robertson. Here. Commissioner Tackett.
Here.
Commissioner Booth. Here.
We have a quorum and we are ready to proceed. I'd like to ask Pike County Sheriff Rodney Scott if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Sheriff. Sheriff, why don't you come on up to the front table and make sure the microphone's on. And the first item we're going to take up on the agenda is the acknowledgement of receipt of the Pike County Sheriff's 2019 real property tax settlement. We have, I guess, another matter is the Pike County Sheriff's 2020 budget. And then we have the unmined coal tax settlement and the 2019 gas and oil property tax settlement. Sheriff, which one would you like to take up first? Okay, let's go ahead and do the property tax settlement. So we have the property, 2019 real property, unmined mineral taxes, and gas and oil. Right. All right. Frankie, you've had an opportunity to review these, I assume, sir, and everything appears to be in order? Is that correct? Yeah. All right. Is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of the Pike County Sheriff's 2019 real property tax settlement?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson.
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the Pike County Sheriff's settlement statement for the 2019 unmined coal taxes. Again, Frank, you've had an opportunity to look at this as well as the gas and oil property tax settlement, correct? Yes, sir. All right. And is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of the Pike County Sheriff's 2019 unmined coal tax settlement?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson.
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth. Yes. Judge Jones.
Yes. Next item is acknowledgement of receipt of the Pike County Sheriff's 2019 gas and oil property tax settlement. Is there a motion to acknowledge? Motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Tackett. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson.
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth. Yes. Judge Jones.
Yes. And then the next item will be the acknowledgement of the receipt of an amendment to the Pike County Sheriff's 2020 budget. Sheriff, would you please explain this, or Frankie, either one of you would like to explain this?
Judge is just moving money out of regular office expense into payroll, really. It's taking $100,000 out of office expense and putting it into payroll.
Okay.
On the back, you can see is our original budget.
All right.
And it's just taking it out of office expense and putting it into salaries.
All right, sir. Is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of an amendment to the Pike County Sheriff's 2020 budget?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. Sheriff, do you have any other business, or anything you'd just like to discuss with the?
No,
Public.
Judge, just good to be here. Thank you all for the job you do. Appreciate you. And happy birthday again.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to catch up to you.
Yeah, you're getting close.
Thank you, sir. This is the original sheriff. Let me go ahead and sign this. This is one of the things I see that you have them on too. When you hit that 50 mark, that you can't quite do without them. All right, Sheriff, here you go, sir. Okay. Gotcha. Everybody does. Thanks, sir. The next item is an important issue for a lot of our younger constituents, and that is to discuss how or if we're going to do a trick-or-treat event here in Pike County. I'd like to ask Ms. Tammy Riley to come up. She is the Public Health Director for the Pike County Health Department. We had asked Dr. Foddy to be here tonight. I don't see that he's made it. He's probably tied up at the hospital. Reggie, I'd like for you to come on up because you were on the governor's conference call to cover for me today. And first of all, Tammy, welcome back. And you have provided us, and I think Ronnie at Pike TV has a copy of the slides that you've given us. We talked about this a little bit at the last court meeting. Can you tell us, just before we start talking about this issue, where are we with regard to the pandemic? Yes, is a green light on the microphone?
Now it is. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Great. Yes, I did provide an abbreviated update, but I did think that it was important to have an update on the numbers before we discuss, where we are and how we're going to move forward with the Halloween trick-or-treating and Halloween festivities that are coming up. And what I gave Ronnie to show is on the second slide is an overview, and this is the same, again, abbreviated, but presentation that I show the COVID Task Force Committee and to you, sir, on Mondays and the other mayors in the county. So what you're seeing on the second slide are the global numbers versus the national numbers versus the state of Kentucky. And as you can see, the numbers are growing. We're over 36 million cases worldwide, approaching 7.5 million in the United States, and a little over 73,000 in Kentucky. We've had 1,214 deaths in the state of Kentucky, reflecting a 1.7% mortality rate, and maybe more important is a 4.29, almost 4.33% positivity rate, and that has dropped. We were a little over 6% a few weeks back, so the positivity rate has dropped in the state, but case growth is increasing. And what we're seeing in Pike County, and if you look at the third slide, more importantly and applicable to this audience is what's happening in the county. But in the past, we were lagging a few weeks behind the state, and what I'm seeing currently is that we're really right along beside them with case growth and positivity rate increase. And you can see we have 540 total cases, and by the time I did this update and before I left the office, 6 more cases had come into the inbox. So that's how quickly the numbers are growing. But we do have 540 total cases, 449, and I don't need glasses, but for some reason I'm having trouble seeing the small number. The 449 have recovered. That's the good news. And we have 88 active cases and 3 deceased. What we're seeing is an overall positivity rate of 1.6% from the beginning of the pandemic until today. But what I'm seeing when I look at the weekly numbers is that positivity rate, if you just look at last week, for example, it's 3.43%. So we're not far behind at the state level for case growth and positivity rate. And then if you look at the next slide, this is a slide, again, that I share on Mondays with the judge and with the mayors, and it's the community benchmarks. And with the community benchmarks, what I show, I look every week, I look at hospitalizations, ICU occupancy, ventilator occupancy, case growth by 2 weeks, how we rate when we normalize our data to 100,000 population, what the positivity rate is, and probably most applicable today in the most recent weeks is the daily incident rate. We've been hearing a lot about that associated with the schools. The daily incident rate per 100,000. And that daily incident rate is currently 16.2. The state showed us a little above 10, but it's definitely, the raw data on the ground here is higher. So that number is going to rise. And what I found on Monday when I looked at the previous 7 days rolling average, it was 16.2. So those are the benchmarks, and I'll look at that data every week. I send that to you, and we've watched the case growth increase, the positivity rate. It was, below 1% for many, many weeks. We were around 0.5 of 1%, a half of 1%, and then slowly around the 4th of July is when overall positivity rate went up to 1%, and now we're at 1.6% with a almost 3.5% positivity rate last week. And then if you can look at the next slide, which shows the age span, you look at those 540 cases, 99 of them were under the age of 20. They were 19 or younger, so almost 20%. 200 out of 540 were in their 20s or younger, so they were under the age of 30. So we're seeing definitely an increase in that younger population, and while they do have a better chance for a positive outcome, they contribute, that age group contributes to community spread, and we all know that.
There's been some people who've made the statement, that we've only had, 3 fatalities in Pike County. And if you look at the numbers, though, of the folks in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s in Pike County, those numbers only add up to slightly more combined for people 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, slightly more than the 0 to 19 group or in the 20s.
That's correct.
I would suspect that because we've had a lot of elderly people who are older have taken this very seriously, and they've not been out. But I think that we have kids going back into school, there's playing sports. The younger folks are probably appear not to be taking it as seriously. And it concerns me, though, that the younger people that get it would take it back home to their parents and grandparents. And it's going to continue to spread into the elderly age groups. That would be a big concern. I mean, is that something that you all have talked about or addressed?
Yes, absolutely. In Pike County, and I've said this in fiscal court many times, that we have the luxury of not being densely populated. And our senior citizens and those that are at higher risk likely have less mobility, or they're going out to Food City, Walmarts, the grocery stores, the convenient marts. Their mobility is not as high as the younger demographic, and we're not as densely populated in Pike County as some of the other counties in northern and central Kentucky. So that also, I think, has contributed to our low mortality rate and fewer cases with the older, with that second half of the demographic, looking at the age by decades. If you look at the last slide, what you'll see is that in the last 2 weeks, Judge, we've had 131 of our 540 cases.
Say that one more time.
And I'm sure that Ronnie's showing the slide. When I graph the cases by week, 131 of the 540 cases have occurred in the last 2 weeks. So when I talk about case growth, we've seen a 40% case growth in the last week.
Any specific factors that have contributed to that? I know we saw a spike 4th of July holiday into the vacation when people were going to Florida, Georgia, Myrtle Beach, places like that.
Yes.
Why now? Why are we starting to see this? I heard the governor make the statement that we've had 6,000 new cases in the last week statewide. And it took 2 months for us to hit the 6,000 number. It took nearly 2 months from the time the pandemic started to hit that point, but now we're hitting 6,000 in a week.
Well, we've talked a lot about the exponential factor, and when you're doubling like that and you're going from, 3 to 6 to 12, doesn't seem as significant, but when you're at 200 and you jump to 400, in a matter of weeks, that's significant. So it's increased mobility is one of the factors, children returning to school, college students, and just as business has reopened, as we all know, and there's just increased mobility. So, we have an important decision to make tonight regarding Halloween and trick or treat and how that relates back to these numbers.
Reggie, what was your take from the governor's statements today?
Well, the governor was very clear that he's concerned about Kentucky becoming a national headline within the next couple of weeks at the current rate. And I think I saw just before I came in that there was another 1,000 cases, just a little over 1,000 cases today. He was asking for continued strong leadership at the local level, on the county level, whether it be counties, cities, municipalities, whatever, to continue to push hard for mask wearing, distancing, sanitation, and the second part of his ask was for stronger enforcement. Those were the two primary things. He says the virus is surging, which I think Ms. Riley just portrayed very accurately. The same thing's happening statewide is happening here.
Yes.
And his concern was that the population has become too lax, maybe suffering what you would call COVID fatigue, not following the guidelines, and not listening to the health department's guidance, and was asking counties and cities in the state of Kentucky to work closer with the health departments. He made the comment clearly that we should not have to shut down the economy if we do things right. He's very concerned about the next 2 weeks in particular, and I'm sure Ms. Riley can add to that as well. Did also mention that 40 sports teams in Kentucky are currently quarantined. So this back to school and the sports and gatherings and things like that are beginning to take its toll.
I mean, every time we make a decision about some of these activities and events and how we're going to move forward as a county, we're deciding on some of the items that we already chose to move forward with first, like school and businesses. Is having the next event worth a setback for those organizations? In other words, do we want to keep our kids in school? Do we want to take, a chance with a door-to-door style trick-or-treat event and put, what we've been able to manage so far in jeopardy?
So, it's been an interesting week, to say the least, and I would agree with the governor that, for 7-8 months now, we've had briefings every day or daily, and we're hearing this, and a lot of people here seem to me to have COVID fatigue. A lot of people don't believe this is real. A lot of people question it. And this week we saw, the most protected person in the world catch this virus. And if President Trump can catch it, with all the people around him being screened, I think it shows that it can happen to anybody. And of course, he was flown to Walter Reed, our military medical center, given an experimental treatment, and is still recovering. We wish him the best and pray that he recovers. But let me say this, it is a real problem, and a lot of people are numb to it. I think, for lack of a better word, a lot of people really just don't want to deal with it any longer. The problem's not going away. And my responsibility and the court's responsibility is, at least at this juncture, what do we do for this Halloween trick-or-treat event? I have read the guidance, and I don't know if Ronnie has this, But the state guidance from the Kentucky Department of Public Health specifically says traditional door-to-door trick-or-treating and trunk-or-treating are discouraged because of the risk of spreading this disease. And if you look at how easily this spread through the White House and through an outdoor event in the Rose Garden
Right.
over Judge Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court, there were several people at an outdoor event that contracted this virus. And it concerns me greatly to have children out in the community. I know that one of the suggestions was to have kids just pick candy up off of someone's porch or whatever. The problem is you don't really know who's touched the candy.
Right.
If we did trick or treating, the only way I think it could be done safely is if the candy was left outside on a table for kids to pick up. I'm not even sure that's safe.
Right.
What would be your recommendation on this, Tammy?
Well, number one, there is a Halloween event scheduled for October 29th. It's in the city of Pikeville, the Nightmare on Main, that they've been doing that event for many years now. My understanding in the past that most of the children in the county and actually the region participate in that event. That is a perfectly safe event. It's a touchless drive-through event. So what I would recommend is participate in that, or pick a couple of homes that's like extended family, if you have a 2, 3, 4, like a younger child, and just take them like without going up to the door. Like you said, someone that you know that's leaving the candy out. Just for the younger kids, maybe just go to 2 or 3 extended families to the sidewalk. But other than that, outside of that, I just can't in all conscience recommend, it's right here in black and white. The CDC, the Department of Public Health, and your local health department is not recommending the traditional door-to-door trick-or-treat. If we do that, we are setting up our schools and the activities that the schools are doing for failure.
It really risks while we're trying to get
Yes.
schools open back up to help shut schools down.
And businesses.
One of the other issues is I did talk to, after our last meeting, I talked to Reed Atkins, who's the superintendent of the Pike County Board of Education. And Mr. Atkins, Superintendent Atkins, explained that they were not opening any of the schools, the county schools, up for safe Halloween events because of the crowd size and having so many people inside. I'm just going to turn it over to the commissioners and ask them for what their thoughts on this are. Brian, you want to go first?
Well, me and my wife have discussed this quite a bit. The only thing about just having it at Pikeville, you got Phelps area and different places not as close to Pikeville would be such a drive on. But what we had talked about doing was putting candy in a bag, and as we seen the kids coming up to the porch or whatever, putting it so far apart, I ain't saying, maybe a foot or 2 apart, and letting that kid come up to the porch and just taking that candy that's in that baggie and putting it in their trick-or-treat bag or whatever. That's because, we're like a lot of others, we hate to see trick-or-treat canceled, or either have someplace, since the schools won't agree to it, maybe doing a drive-through in a community, but that'd probably be hard to set up this quick.
A touchless drive-through is safe.
Yeah.
That is a safe alternative, like Nightmare on Main. If you could do something smaller like that, in some of the communities, what you've got to think about is that scenario that you gave, which does sound moderate in the moderate level as far as risk. But when you think about if someone may be positive and they don't know they're positive, and so then they show up positive, and then public health has to trace who was at their door or came up.
Well, it goes back to we said we'd put gloves on, but how many people would put gloves on? You just have to take.
I trust you.
Know what I'm saying?
Yes,
yeah, because
Commissioner
I
Booth.
hate to see it for the kids to be.
We know that there's so many people that have ignored social distancing, they've ignored wearing masks. My concern is you'll have a lot of people that will follow the guidelines. You'll have a lot of people that won't.
Right.
So, you know, the question is, well, Ronnie, what's your thoughts on it?
I think the Nightmare on Main is what we need to participate in, but I see Brian's point from
Right.
Phelps and Feds
Elf
Creek.
Creek.
I mean, a lot of kids is not going to be able to enjoy that, but we need to take this real seriously. And, you know, we don't want to infect our kids with this or my grandchildren or, you know, and the weather's getting cooler, so this is apt to spread a whole lot more.
I mean, I thought about, is there a way to do, you know, I've talked to Mayor Carter today about Nightmare on Main, and the problem is with encouraging everybody in the county to come to Pikeville, there's only so many cars that you can put in downtown Pikeville in this drive-through event.
Well, and also, you know, me and her discussed back and forth, because there's so many kids where we live at, you know, that enjoys doing it, is maybe just having it to keep people in the community, just having it like from 6 to 7, having it for 1 hour. And you have to stay in, and I'm not saying everybody's gonna do that, stay in your community. And tell them, you know, you can't, if the ones that don't wanna participate in it, leave their lights off, don't let them participate in it. The ones that wanna participate in it, leave their light on, but they have to put it in a baggie and use, you know, and set it out on the porch or meet them out at the, you know, at the sidewalk or something and have.
The only problem with that, and I'm just being devil's advocate here, is that with the virus, there's a 48-hour infectious period before symptoms will even appear. So once there's symptom onset, we go back and we look at anyone that's interacted with that individual in a sustained manner for 48 hours. So you may have children out trick-or-treating or people like individuals participating that in all fairness would not know that they have the virus. And then just the tracing with that is very difficult. And that's the only thing that I would add to that. I mean, that's a moderate level plan. When you look at the CDC guidelines and you look at the Department of Public Health, there's low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. And that plan, it fits in the moderate risk level.
You know, one of the other issues that I thought about is, could we do a drive-through at each of the high school parking lots? You know, what supports Nightmare on Main are the businesses.
Right.
And people sponsoring booths, buying candy, and you know, the problem is there's some areas of the county that there's not enough businesses located there. Who would you actually have set up the booths to give the candy out? You know, I thought about the volunteer fire departments, but what we don't want to do there is risk exposing our volunteer firefighters, our first responders, to, you know, a situation where if you had several members of a fire department that contracted the virus, and that's a situation. I mean, it's a huge problem, and my personal opinion is, I've got 3 kids. One says he's too old to trick or treat now, but I've got 2 that are dying to get a costume. I don't know that that letting them go trick or treating is worth potentially exposing them and their friends and our family to catching this virus. And as the sheriff said, I am now, you know, moving into my 50s, and, you know, I'm in the age group where it starts becoming more serious. So it's a big problem, Tammy. I don't know, but
Yeah, because you also got, and I hear this a lot with this trick-or-treating, you're allowing kids to go to school, you're allowing kids to play sports.
Well, we are, but we're taking a risk with that. But
I know,
those,
and they're saying
those,
they're willing to take the risk to trick-or-treat as well.
well, when they do that, though, they're risking their ability to go to school and their ability to play sports. So those very people that are encouraging you to have trick-or-treat are the ones that are going to come back and be upset when we have to send the kids home from school and there's football's canceled on Friday night because we had an outbreak after trick-or-treat.
I know our kids, my kids ain't going out trick-or-treating. We may order pizza and just hang around the house, but I'm not gonna take a chance on it. And I mean, like, whatever direction we go on this, is everybody gonna listen? You know?
Right.
You no matter what you do on this, there's still gonna be trick-or-treating. And I don't know what,
If I had a 2-year-old, what I would do, and please buy him a costume, Judge. let him have a costume. So I'm putting that in. I'm going to tell Paula, give him a costume. But
Oh, he'll have more than one probably.
okay, good. But I would buy that child a costume, and if I had a 2-3-year-old, I would take him to grandma's house and not go in, maybe stand and let him wave and see the costume. Maybe go to uncle, house and do the same thing, stay away if I had a small child, but not a community-wide door-to-door event.
Well, I mean, it is concerning because I read, straight down US 23, Boone, North Carolina, last week, a 19-year-old, perfectly healthy Appalachian State Appalachian State student thought he was over the disease. He thought he, was on the mend, and he ends up getting sick, crashing, and ends up dying from COVID complications. The biggest concern for me is if we cancel trick or treat, there'll be some people upset about it, but we won't be exposing children and parents and grandparents to, the risk of contracting this virus over some candy when it comes right down
Right.
to it.
I mean, this court has a very difficult decision to make, and the bottom line is it's not going to be popular. And if you move forward with it, the consequences, I mean, you're taking a risk. I'm paid to do this job to give you the information, and that's what I'm doing. So, I mean, it's a big risk that you're taking on the community if you move forward with it, like in a traditional sense.
Ronnie, what's your thoughts on it?
My grandchildren's not going trick or treating. That's just simple.
Reggie?
well, the governor today did not waver at all. Spent very little time on this. Basically said the documentation that we have in front of us tonight, they're standing by that out of the governor's office. There was no changes at all.
Yeah, the problem with going back to this drive-through concept is there's absolutely no way that the fiscal court, we don't have the manpower to put on 3 or 4 or even 2 or 3 other drive-through events. I mean, that's not a government function. That's not, something that we can go out and pay for. And, it takes a lot of work to put on the Nightmare on Main program. But, again, the mayor was concerned that if you funnel people, more people in, will the city be able to even handle that? And I think that's a very legitimate concern because it is drive-through, and it's going to be a lot of cars coming into Pikeville. So, I don't know. I know what needs to be done here is to cancel Halloween's door-to-door trick-or-treating. And if you want to go to a family member's house, extended family, if you'll maintain social distancing, those kind of things, I think that would probably be the best avenue. What would your position be on that, gentlemen?
like I said, my girls is not gonna be trick-or-treating, maybe at my mom and dad's or my wife's mom and dad's, but other than that, we're not gonna be out going door to door. I mean, the only guidelines I can see we can go by is with what we're dealt, 2 years ago when we sit down in this seat right here, we didn't think we'd be discussing about canceling
Right.
Halloween sports or
Shutting
anything.
parks,
Shutting parks
If
down
you
or
look at
anything
the-
else,
if you look at the calendar and you'll see Halloween, it falls on the 31st of Saturday, and you move forward on that calendar 2 weeks. So that'll be around, November 14th, and that's a weekend. And who think about your local high schools. Who are they playing that Friday night? Where will the class curriculum be mid-November? That's before Thanksgiving break. So when you have a door-to-door trick-or-treat, you're taking, those activities, you're putting them at risk. Wherever the curriculum is around, a week and a half or so prior to Thanksgiving, and whoever you're playing in football and other activities that weekend.
They may be communities willing to do a drive-through in their community. Like there may be some people in Phelps that wants to do a drive-through over there somewhere. Maybe it's their fire department or something. I mean, there may be people willing to step up in the community to do a drive-through.
That would be the best option.
But-
no matter what we do, it's just like asking people to wear a mask, 6 feet apart, social distance. They all don't do it. So whatever decision we make here today, they're still not gonna,
Right.
either they're not gonna get out, or they're gonna get out, or, you know.
On the
it-
drive-throughs, if they genuinely stay in the car.
Right.
And they're just driving through, the windows are down, they're waving, and the vendor, whoever that might be, you know, is just dropping, so it's a touchless drive-through. Those are perfectly safe, it's just the coordination of,
I'm saying, I mean, I'd just say
What's
if the
happening?
ones in their community that wanted to do a drive-through, that they may be somebody in the Phelps area, Belfry, Elkhorn.
Here's what my recommendation would be. And Tammy, if the health department disagrees with anything I'm getting ready to say, then please jump in, because I've said all along, we need to follow the health department's guidance. I'm not a public health expert. These gentlemen are not public health experts, but I think the four of us, you know, can exercise some common sense and listen to people who are. We need to pay attention to the science. We need to listen to the professionals on this. So my recommendation would be that there be no door-to-door trick-or-treating or trunk-or-treating. That it would be permissible on Thursday the 29th to have for children to go in costumes to their extended families in their neighborhood. That they should keep a list of whose homes that they go to, that they need to exercise social distancing, and that the children need to wear a cloth mask, a filtering mask under their costumes, because it's been very clearly pointed out that Halloween costumes do not provide protection from transmission of droplets. So then, if any churches or any communities, it's a big county, it's really would be hard for someone from Stopover to drive to Pikeville, or from, you know, Dorton or Elkhorn City. I mean, it's a big county. If Elkhorn City and Coal Run would like to put on an event, or if any of the churches or volunteer fire departments or businesses would like to put on an event, that we specify some guidance that you could write, that we could distribute, that would say that the people have to stay in their cars, that the persons handing out the candy would have to wear a mask and gloves to distribute the candy, drop the candy in a bucket or a container, and those would be my recommendations. But, you know, as far as door-to-door trick-or-treating, I think that's out of the question.
well, I'm happy to hear that, because every document I have here with me has door-to-door trick-or-treating at the highest end of the spectrum as far as risk. But I would say that would work. What's been happening to date is that organizations that want to plan an event, like at the arena, in the community, different types of events, they've submitted a plan to public health. We've reviewed the plan, modified it with, you know, like highlighted inserted our recommendations and sent it back. I'm happy to just create a plan that could be universal for the county. I would be happy to do that.
Okay, so it would be my motion that before the end of the week, if it's possible, that you could prepare a plan that we could submit to the public for either drive-through events with health department guidance,
Okay.
or trick-or-treating only at family and extended family. What's your thoughts on that part of it?
Well,
Are you opposed to that?
I worry about that. I do, because as
Let's
soon
do
as you
this
say
then.
that that's allowable, then I just think about the tracing that would be involved. It
Okay.
just takes two families with, you know, 5 kids together, not obeying that guidance, that really would, no pun intended, would cause a nightmare for public health.
So let's do this then. Since the health department's concerned about that, we can authorize drive-through events if they comply with the guides that you're going to provide us. Would be on Thursday, the 29th, from 6 to 8, to coincide with the city of Pikeville's. And we would encourage businesses, churches, or other community organizations such as fire departments to participate. We want children in rural Pike County. I grew up in rural Pike County.
So did I.
So You know, Reggie and I grew up about 3 houses apart, and you know, you had to get in the car to go trick or treat. If you walked over
Right.
2 or 3 houses away, it's just you got in the car. You didn't have neighborhoods on Indian Creek, and you know, a lot of kids are not going to be able to come to Pike, and we don't want to overwhelm the city officials in Pikeville with, you know, 1,000 extra cars coming in. But if we could put some guidance together for groups that might want to have a safe Halloween event, drive-through only, then we could do that. And if you could get us the guidance,
I would happily do that.
how's the court can feel about that?
You could have a couple different churches get together and it's got a big parking lot and do it all together, you know?
Yeah, because I mean,
That way you're not going on each corner, you know,
So my motion is that we adopt the guidance for drive-through events around the county that may be staged by businesses or civic organizations or churches, to the extent that they will comply with the health department's guidance that will be provided to us this week. It will be on Thursday, the 29th, from 6 to 8, that children, parents, caregivers will be required to stay in their vehicles, that the persons handing out the candy must hand out wrapped candy, that they must exercise social distancing with gloves and masks, and I know there's still some risk associated with that. I mean, there's somebody's touching the candy, and we encourage parents to wipe the candy down before they allow the children to consume it. Is that a fair?
That's correct. Most candy, and really I hadn't given it much thought, to be real honest. I like candy, I eat candy, but I hadn't given it much thought. But most candy is wrapped in plastic. We don't think, so these like alcohol-based wipes, you can wipe them, and it's perfectly safe. And then let the child, you know, eat the candy. Or you can let it sit for 3 to 5 days and wait. No child's going to want to do that, but you can wipe the candy. And that, again, these behaviors and attempts are just attempts to lower risk. That's what we're trying to do. We can't be completely 100% risk-free, but we can go from a high-risk scenario to a moderate to where I want us to be, which sounds like the direction we're going, in that low-risk area. And that's what is going to keep us the safest.
So Reggie, what do you think? You're looking a little bit.
Well, I was just thinking about fruit and things like that. It's not been mentioned yet. Some houses give away apples and fruit, and I don't see that as being a good idea.
I would just leave it wrapped candy only. I wouldn't have any
Prepackaged.
apples, fruit, or anything.
Commercially produced
Yep.
candy.
Yes, for most of the, like, sporting events, for example, like Little League programs, when they restarted, all the guidance that I've seen as far as food trucks and things of that nature is we've asked for prepackaged items. So, and that's the CDC guidance on youth sports and youth activities and in events and venues as far as concession, prepackaged, pre-wrapped food items only. And so this would fall in one of those categories or a combination thereof.
All right. So we have a motion. Is there a second on my motion?
Judge, I'll second that.
A second by Commissioner Tackey. Is there any other question or discussion? Any other suggested modifications or additions?
I think that's fair enough.
So when I create the plan, do you want me to?
It would be nice, though, if the people that decides to do this, if the churches or whatever do that, let us know what area they're gonna be in, you know, so if we had to track any of this, we could.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So I'll take the planning forward to you, Judge, and Jeannie, and you can share it with the commissioners, and then they can communicate to me if someone in their area wants to provide an event. That would work for
Past some of
me.
the car clubs has done that.
Well, we got some churches that are wanting to do some stuff too.
So
I mean, if people would just be cognizant of the requirements and what the health department says, we can have an event for kids and do it safely and not risk people's lives with it.
right.
and I think if the city of Pikeville's allowed to do it, I think the people in the county should be allowed to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem to do some
That's
kind of
what we're-
drive-through event, as long as people will come forward and do it. There's no guarantee, now let me rephrase this, there's no guarantee that there will be, you know, a number of events around the county, but we'll try, if churches or businesses or other organizations want to have a drive-through event in a part of the county, if they'll let us know, we'll try to put that on Facebook or get it to the media so that they'll know. We'll have another court meeting before the Halloween trick-or-treat drive-through events. And hopefully by that time, we'll have a list of businesses or groups that want to do this, churches, and we can get that to Gary at the News Express and get it to some of our media outlets to disseminate that.
And Judge, if there's some places that's not going to, we've not had no contact back that wants to do this, you know, a little farther away from town, or if they will just, some people in that area will let us know, we'll try to find somebody that would be interested in doing it.
Well, I mean, you know, I thought about that, but I don't know. The one thing I don't think we need to be trying to do is organize these events. There's just
Right.
no way for us to do that.
No, I mean, what I was saying was
But-
reach out to somebody to
Well,
organize something in that area.
What I'm hopeful that there will be enough groups to get together to do this. If we get them to the paper, get them to the media in time, you know, it won't be too far to drive. You know, if there's something at Dorton, if you're from Virgie, it won't be too far of a drive. Those are the kind of things I'm thinking about that we can do. So we do have a motion and a second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. Tammy, is there anything else you'd like to add on behalf of the Health Department?
Well, I know this is a difficult topic, and I want to thank each and every one of you for taking it so seriously and caring about the outcomes for the county. Thank you, Judge. And last but not least, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
50 and Holden.
What's that?
50 and Holden.
Yeah. Commissioner Robertson said, "You're having another birthday." The other one seemed like it wasn't that long ago. So anyway, they do come around a little quicker the older you get, I think. So the next item on the agenda is the authorization to execute the master service agreement for planning, engineering, fiscal impact analysis, and related services, and the authorization to proceed with the Thresh Group Incorporated, and approval for the county judge executive to execute all related documents. This is the master service agreement for the Pike County ATV Trail Planning Project. Actually, the ATV project. This is the engineering firm that we've chosen. We had some issues with the previous contract. I've had Mr. Downey and Mr. King both look at this. That language that I had concerns about, I think, Roy, correct me if I'm wrong, if you want to come up and explain it. We'll listen to Colonel Downey explain this real quick, what changes were made on this.
Okay, Judge, I believe, well, I know the court's problems were with, the first one was Article 7, there was an arbitration clause in there. That has been taken out. And then there were problems with Article 12, it was entirely deleted. And then Article 17, which was a confidentiality, and there was concern about, since our records are subject to open records request, but that's been deleted. And Sharon Hall and I were able to talk with her counsel and get those provisions done, and I would recommend that we pass it. As far as the mediation, most of you guys are probably aware that in this area, because if there was a suit over this, it should be filed here in Pike County. The Pike County courts are going to require mediation, so but there will be no arbitration. So I believe that this is in line with what you all asked us to do, and I'd recommend that you approve it.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions on this?
No, I think he's got it all took care of. I think we're ready to proceed.
We're ready to run.
I trust the colonel. He's taught me a lot over the last 26 years practicing law. So we are ready to act on this. Is there a motion to authorize master service agreement with Thresh Group Incorporated and approval for the county judge to execute all related documents.
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. The next item is authorization to hire land representatives for the Pike County ATV Trails Development Project. I'm not sure, Kevin, if you'd like to address this, Mr. King, or Ronnie, or Jason.
This is really to do with people that's going to be out in the county working on our ATV project or side-by-side trails. And we'd like the people to meet them tonight so they'll know that who's going to be coming around and talking to them about a lease on the property. Kevin needs to go ahead and tell us the rest of it there.
Yeah, we've had several meetings over the course of the Trails Advisory Board meetings and gone over this several times. And the game plan, Judge, and for the folks that's listening, the next call will also plays into this. There's been mapping going on for quite some time in an attempt to identify the route of the trail system. I'm sure that will be branched off of and expanded at some point, but we've identified approximately 100 different pieces of property that would play into this trail system. And the game plan at this time, if the court chooses to do so, is to have an individual check the titles on these 100 parcels of property. That way we can be certain who the owners are. That way we know we're negotiating with the correct parties. Anybody that's dealt with land here in eastern Kentucky is familiar with airship property and how difficult that can be when you're leasing. And a lot of this is hillside and property that doesn't have houses on it, and we want to make sure that we're negotiating with the right people when we get the leases for these parcels. And then once the parcels are, we're certain who we need to negotiate with, there's going to be a lot of legwork going out and getting these individuals and these families in a lot of cases to sign the leases to allow us to go in and do what we need to do. And that is the two pieces of business that are on the agenda for tonight. And I think that the commissioners have these land agents here and would like to introduce them so that the folks that are watching will know when somebody comes and knocks on the door that this is somebody that's coming out for the county and it's somebody that they can talk with.
Gentlemen, come on up. Right, who do we have here tonight?
We've got Nate Reed and we've got George Atkins. Make sure we get a picture of their faces so the people out will be knowing who's
Guys spread apart there.
going to be out to talk to them about property.
We'll start over here. Just go ahead and introduce yourselves, whichever one wants to go first. Go ahead, George.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my name's George Atkins. I'm Shelby, live in Shelby. And what do you want to know?
Well, George has been around this business for a long time, so.
Mr. Reed.
Yeah, my name's Nathan Reed. I've worked doing oil and gas, the leasing and the title part of it for the better part of 12, 13 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. And just looking forward to getting it going, getting all this work out.
So once we get the, I'm not sure which order we need to do this, if we need to wait for Thrasher to start on this, but we've already identified, the trail committee's identified a lot of potential trails, mapped a lot of trails. So what we probably need to do, Ronnie, is, have we reached an agreement with them on how we would pay them for their work?
Yeah, it'll run between $450 and $500 per parcel. We also have contacted Appalachian Title Research, which they'll, once we identify the property owners, we'll get a copy of where our route is going, and these gentlemen will be able to go out and talk to them.
And they won't have to deal with no coal companies.
We need some type of written structure on how we would do this, because you're gonna have some people that are gonna be, voluntarily gonna want the trail system come across their property. Kevin, what's your thoughts on it?
You're wanting a written agreement with regards to,
Well, we need some kind of, and Frankie may want to jump in here. We need some way that we can clarify the relationship and reduce it to writing so that there's no misunderstanding on what, Nathan, what your role or George's role was going to be. I understand what the role is. We've got to have people on the ground to help us identify the property owners. We have to do some title work on the property to make sure if you go to somebody and say, do you own this? They say, sure, we'll give you a lease. You start running a trail over them, and the next thing you know, somebody sues you because they, you don't have the correct property owner.
right,
So,
we will need to we can do a contract, a short form contract.
so we need to
set
get a
out
short form
the duties and
contract.
parties.
And then it should be from, because our trail committee doesn't have authority. Reggie, do you have any thoughts on how we can direct them on who to go? Because, we're going to have somebody to give direction to this. There's no trail director, trail authority right now.
No, we have not hired a director or whatever.
And, I really don't want to have to spend the money to hire somebody, but we've got to have somebody coordinate this. We've got to give direction, say, let's try this piece and this piece. So that we've got to think that through a little bit, I think.
Judge,
How much of that is Thrasher gonna do?
pretty much that's what we have been doing as a trail authority, and we just thought that we could let them go out and bring it back to us. Then me and Ronnie can bring it back to the court, and I know that's a lot of work, but
Yeah,
they're for it.
they're into doing a lot of work, but if we get these title search done for each piece of these properties, right, Kevin? Then they'll know where to go to. They know what we have to tie up.
We actually done have a list. We done have a list like from point A to point B, from B to C.
I know we've got the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got it
First
from,
thing,
you might as well say from the Flatwoods all the way to the car to,
Yeah.
yeah.
the first thing is, do we need to go to who we think the property owner is, Nathan, George, or do we need to do the title work first? Kevin?
I think the title work needs to be done.
Yeah,
first.
they'll have to do the title work and send it to us before we send them out anywhere.
My understanding, Commissioner Robertson, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we've got the route mapped out. We know there's 100 parcels we're looking at. The plan is to have Gary Klein with Appalachian Title take these 100 parcels, go to the PVA's office, make sure who the owners are of this piece of property. If that meshes with Thrasher's plan on what to do with the engineering, at that point, we know we've got 100 different parcels that need to be contacted. And then the next phase would be to have the land agents go out and contact these individuals to see if we can get leases. If we can get the parcels leased that we want for the trail, then that's great. If there's parcels, and particularly important parcels, that larger parcels there that's going to fall out, and we're going to have to fall back, regroup, maybe have to reroute it a little bit. But if we've got the parcels identified, then we can have the land agents go out. But I think that we definitely need the title search before then. Otherwise, we're chasing our tails. I think that's the way to make it happen more
Up to
efficiently
100 different titles are going to have to be done.
under different titles.
So let's do this then. Let's go ahead and get them authorized, but we do need to approve. We can't approve the contract tonight. Let Kevin get the contract in the form that you guys want. We'll do it at the next court meeting, George, whatever you all, you're working with the trail committee, Ronnie and Jason. Kevin will have the contract ready. We'll get it authorized at the next court meeting, because I guess the lawyer in me wants to make sure we do have something reduced to writing.
I completely understand, yes.
And,
It'll take Gary Klein some time anyway, so.
and then
yeah,
Gary's
we've
gonna
got
take
time
some time to do that. And I'm gonna reiterate this to the court and to the public. we're taking more steps on this than any court has done ever to try to get something done. I think there's potential for economic development and tourism here, but it's going to depend in large part on the cooperation of the property owners. Now, Commissioner Robertson, just so the public will know, and Gary, we can't disclose a lot right now, but Commissioner Robertson and I had a very positive phone call last week, Ronnie, that we had with some folks who are really wanting to step up and help with this.
And, I just want to say, Judge, for the people in Pike County, just don't be negative on this. Hear us out, listen what we got to do. And, we've lost our coal severance tax. Coal's just, it's not going to be anything around here anymore, maybe a little bit, but, tourism is a thing we need to bring to Pike County. We've got a lot of people that wants to come here and ride our trails and see different things that we've got. And it'll be a big thing for Pike County if we can get this going. But we have to ask the people that owns this property to work with us. And it comes down to keeping your taxes low. We've not raised this court's not raised any taxes at all.
Nope.
Since we've been here on this court. And I want the citizens just to really think about this, how it could benefit Pike County, and don't be negative about it. Listen to what we got to say.
So we'll have your contracts ready to go, and then, so that would leave us with, is there a motion to authorize Gary Klein, Appalachian Title Research, to do the title searches at $150 per title for the proposed Pike County ATV trails?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion?
I've got one more question. Kevin, what's the, if we got some people that's already wanting to sign up on this, if we got that, what do we need to have them come down and fill out a,
You gotta do the title
I can have
first.
them lease ready, so we've got a draft lease. If we can identify them with the title as a proper title.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we've got a few people that's already kindly contacted us, and
Well, if we've got that, why don't we go ahead when Gary comes in and have Gary take those parcels first?
okay.
That way we're absolutely certain, because I don't want to get into a situation where somebody's uncle actually owns it and this person signed a lease and we have to go back and backtrack on the whole trail. So
Okay.
let's get the title confirmed and I'll get you leases in hand once we do that for these people.
And I'm gonna reiterate what I started to say a second ago. It's only gonna take one or two people to stop this whole trail system from going across the county.
And that's my concern, is you get one big parcel in the middle of the trail and somebody says no, we're gonna have to have alternative routes, and, it's gonna be important for Thrasher and for the folks that are doing our mapping. There's a lot of land out there in the mountains, but I don't know how much of it is gonna be trail worthy, so it's gonna be important to get these particular parcels. And if, certain individuals or certain groups of individuals don't wanna cooperate and don't want to be involved, then, we may have to take some alternative routes.
Judge, I was gonna let you know something. We had a visitor the other day in our Trails meeting last Wednesday. And I'd like to bring him in a little later. I'm not gonna say much about it right now till they get up and running, but, they've been in the, mining industry of building cars and augers and stuff for as long as I can remember. And they're kindly, stepping out here, gonna start making custom roll cages for side-by-sides, and so they just,
We've got quite a few people that is interested in this, and some companies, right, Jason?
yeah.
That's why I was just asking the public out here in Pike County to, before you say no, try to hear what we got to say and give us a shot at it,
And I think there's gonna be a video, or where you at, Ronnie? Starting pretty soon on the, just informing people a little bit about this
Yeah, be on Pike TV.
on Pike TV.
All right, so, we have a motion and a second. No other question or discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes, and we'll have that contract in 2 weeks. Thank you, gentlemen. George,
Thank you
appreciate
for your
y'all.
time.
Thank you.
I want to also tell the people out here that if you've got any questions on the trails or anything about the trails, you can call Sherry Skaggs, and her office number is 432-6308, and she'll give us a message and we'll contact you back.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is the first reading of a proposed ordinance amending the Pike County Administrative Code, Section 320, relating to road department administrative responsibility. Section 19, moving to Section 20, adding Section 19, which requires all employees at a 5H classification shall be required to hold a Class A CDL. Roy, I know. Go ahead and just do technically the first reading for us, if you don't care.
Yes, this was the recommendation of the road commissioner, that we're going to add Section 19. All employees at a 5H classification shall be required to hold a Class A CDL. Now, that only applies to those in the road department, so that's real specific. And those are your higher paid and skilled employees that will have to get this.
All right. So no votes necessary at this time, and it will be on the agenda at the October 20th meeting for action. Next item is the first reading of a proposed ordinance amending the Pike County Administrative Code, Section 505, competitive seal bidding related to the Kentucky Procurement Code. Mr. Keene or Mr. Downey, would you please explain this and give the first reading?
Judge, our current county code lists $20,000. Anything that's over that has to be advertised for certain projects. Now, the state has since amended the state law to say 30, and what we have been asked to do is to amend this in such a way so that we're not keep coming back every time the state changes the minimum. So what we put in there is the language that's going to say, all purchases of items of like or similar nature or construction projects are in excess of the statutory minimum in a fiscal year shall be advertised for bid. What this will keep you from having to do is coming back whenever the state changes. We'll just take what the state minimum is, and that's by state law, and that will be what our minimum is. And right now, it's set at 20 in the county. The state is 30,000. So, you know, we're putting a bigger burden on ourselves, or on the.
So no action is necessary at this time, and it will be on the agenda for October 20th. Thank you, Mr. Downey. Next item is authorization to execute a quitclaim deed for prior county road Penn Friend Lane. Mr. Downey, can you please explain that for me, sir?
Yes, this gentleman has asked for a quitclaim deeds. He's having some work done out there on that property just to show that he still owns it. At one time, it was in the county road system. Kevin Keene went through the proper procedures because a person asked that it be taken out. They followed all those, so it was taken out of the road system. And so now he's asking for a quitclaim deed, saying that he does own the property so he can get work done on it.
All right. I'm familiar with this issue. Is there a motion to authorize the execution of a deed, the Edgel Reynolds quitclaim deed for the property that was the Penn Friend Lane? He owns that property and the property around it. So is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. All right, that brings us to a very important subject, and that is discussion of the ambulance service in the Phelps area. We have Mr. Doug Tackett. Doug, if you would come on up, he's the Pike County EMS Director, and we have Mr. Bill Baker, who's the East Kentucky Director of Operations for Lifeguard Ambulance. Bill, would you come on up, please? While we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead. Frank, you've got to leave early, sir. Do you have any business to come before the court?
I have a couple of things, Judge.
let's go ahead and take care of the treasurer's business, because Frankie's got to leave at 7:15. I want to make sure that we're,
First thing I have would be to authorize the following interfund transfers for September. Transfer $438,696 from the general fund to the LGA fund. That's the remainder of the balance budgeted to transfer. And transfer $577,849 from the road fund to the maintenance garage fund, and that's for their half of vehicle parts for the year.
is there a motion to authorize the following interfund transfers for September 2020? Transfer $438,696 from the general fund to LGEA, and transfer $577,849 from the road fund to the maintenance garage fund.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of the treasurer's monthly financial statements for the month of September 2020.
Is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of the treasurer's monthly financial statement for September 2020?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
To help us get our money back quicker on some coal severance projects, I'd ask for the following two standing orders. The first one would be to authorize a standing order to reimburse the city of Elkhorn once we've received the funds from DLG for House Bill 352 coal severance projects. Q067, which is the sidewalk project for Elkhorn, $82,250. And Q057, which is the steel bridge water line replacement, $32,513. As we get the money from DLG, we pass that on to Elkhorn City.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Booth. On a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
The second one would be to authorize a standing order to pay Mountain Enterprises for invoices received for blacktop on House Bill 352 coal severance project Q058 bridge and road repair, replace, and resurface in the amount of $1,350,000. As we get those invoices and paid, that we can submit them back for reimbursement.
Is there a motion to authorize a standing order to pay Mountain Enterprises for blacktop on the House Bill 352 coal severance project Q058 bridge and road repair, replacement, resurfacing up to the amount of $1,350,000?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Under additional treasurer's business, I have two things. The first one would be to authorization for payment of registration, lodging, and expenses for any employee who wishes to attend the basic animal control officer certification class in Franklin, Tennessee.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
The last thing doesn't require a court order, but we got the auction check back today for the sale of the Mack trucks, and you should have a sheet in front of you that tells what our total overall carry was on the trucks. Overall, the trucks cost us for the year $228,238.67. And that includes the cleaning of the trucks at sale, the 7% auction proceed charge, the auction company charged, and then the interest on the loan.
So basically,
Overall, the trucks cost $66,000 more. We paid $66,000 more than what they sold for the year. But the other carrying charges leads to that total.
so essentially, with the interest and everything,
The interest was about $66,000 for the year. The 7% auction commission was $99,000 for the year. And I think the cleaning of the trucks and everything to get them ready for auction was about $2,500.
So roughly 22,800 per truck is what it cost us to run them per
Right.
year.
The transfer trucks did really well at sale. The dump trucks didn't do as good this year as they did last year. I don't know the reason why. Maybe they had a bunch of dump trucks to sell this year, which is why ran the price down. I don't know. But they didn't do as good this year as they did last year as far as sale price. But the transfer trucks did really well. But I just wanted to present that to the trucks, for the trucks to the court. And then on the expenditure list at the end of the month, I got the payoff for community trust that will, since we got the auction check, we'll go ahead and pay that loan off.
All right.
So from
That's all I had.
this point forward, we'll be saving on that interest on that, right?
Save at least
We have already paid for the trucks that we own now, and going forward, we won't have any interest on any loans. So basically, it'll save us about $65,000 a year just on interest.
good.
Job, Frank.
Well, we did what we did.
Yep.
65,000 a year, you know, that's how you replace worn out equipment. It's a start.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Doug, Mr. Barker, welcome, sir. Sorry to keep you waiting. I know we've had some other business. I know you're very busy, and we appreciate you taking the time to come in. We've not had an opportunity to meet, but I know your company is new to the area in the last few months. You've taken over Transtar's operations, and your company has a certificate of need for most of Pike County other than the city of Pikeville and the area served by Appalachian First Response, I believe. So you've got Elkhorn, Phelps, Shelby Valley. And I'm sure when Mr. Tackett reached out to you, that you were aware of the situation. We've had a lot of folks that are, upset because there's no ambulance service readily available in Phelps. Reggie, you want to come on up and have a seat up here as well? Because, I mean, some folks don't know that Mr. Hickman's a former EMT that worked in emergency medical services. Mr. Tackett, many years in the same business. And so we've got three of you up there that know a little bit about, or a lot, I should say, about emergency medical services. So Doug, if you could, or Reggie, just give us a rundown on the issues and the complaints that we've had. And then, Bill, you'll have an idea of what we're talking about and so forth.
Well, the biggest complaint we hear is the amount of time it takes to get an ambulance into Phelps. They do have a location in Phelps that they can man and staff if they have the people to do it with. Normally, on most days, the ambulances come out of Pikeville to go to Phelps, Freeburn, Stopover, and well, anywhere else in the county for that matter, excluded those areas that served by AFR.
So Reggie you've had conversations, I believe, with lifeguard over some other issues, training and so forth.
Yeah, yes, and that's one of their biggest issues, and Bill needs a chance to really go through all that himself, which he will do, but we have offered up our training facilities, whether it be the fourth floor over where Doug is or the conference room downstairs, if they need it. And that's a standing offer, and we've made arrangements for that. I think what he'll go through with you will show you how hard they are working to try to get employees in the area, and it's difficult. I think they're having a fair amount of trouble doing that, and we're trying to help them in any way that we can.
So Bill, just let me tell you one reason this is important to me personally. My dad lived in the Phelps community for many years. In August of 2013, he had a major heart attack. I happened to be in the community. It was the day we were going to dedicate the new elementary school. I sat down to have lunch at Hornets Diner with former late Pike County Judge Executive Wayne Rutherford. I was in the state senate at the time, and I got a phone call that my dad was critically ill. And I met the ambulance. He was picked up by an ambulance there that was stationed in Phelps. and it was a BLS unit. They met an ALS unit at Kemper at the railroad tracks. And if there had not been an ambulance readily available, my dad probably wouldn't be alive today. And a gentleman by the name of Sid Lester was driving the ambulance that day. It's probably the only reason my dad's still here. So it is important, and I understand there's a lot of my friends in Phelps who are concerned over this issue. So would you just update us on where you are in terms of addressing that issue? And I understand there are some staffing issues due to the fact of the lack of qualified or certified EMTs and paramedics. So you have the floor, sir.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, make sure the green light's on.
Yes, it is.
You have to pull it fairly close to you, too.
Okay, how about that?
That's better.
Great. So, we have started paramedic courses. I mean EMT courses, excuse me. The state regulations have halted all of the paramedic courses in this part of the world. There has to be an accreditation process that goes on for those classes. At this time, the closest paramedic program to this part of the world is in Eastern Kentucky at EKU. They're at the major colleges now. So the issue with this is the fact that most people, when they go in to become a paramedic, they can take the same amount of money and the same amount of time in college and be an RN. So because of that, we're losing people from our profession to a different profession. So that's one struggle that we have. There is a major shortage all over the nation right now.
So would you explain how that relates to the fact that there's no ambulance based in the Phelps area?
It's the simple fact of we don't have the staff period. The numbers are so short. In Pike County, the staff that we have, they stay so busy that most of the time they're not at the station very long at all. So they're not just sitting there. They're constantly on runs. And it's not that we don't want to staff Phelps. We really, really do. We've met with Reggie and Doug before about this topic, and we're trying to create our own staff right now at this time. We had a class that was scheduled to happen in Pike County in, was it March? I think it was March, and then that's when all the COVID rush hit. And we were actually going to hold it in conjunction with Pike. They were going to allow us to use their facility. We had planned on having at least 29, 30 students in that class, but with the COVID regulations, we were knocked down to 9 students plus an instructor, and we had to hold it in our education services at Prestonburg, Kentucky. So they're currently 5 students in that class right now that are planning to graduate next week. And we're planning right now, actually when I left to come up here, I was with the regional director, and we were discussing what our next class was going to be and where it was going to be. So this is one thing that we're trying to do. We're holding 2 EMT classes right now at this time to try to help boost our numbers.
Any idea when we can expect, I mean, this is a matter of life or death.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
And, you know, we're going to have to, something's got to be done about this, because if somebody is in an accident or has a major medical issue, the ambulance has to come from Island Creek to Phelps. You're talking maybe 2 hours at the earliest before you can get somebody to the hospital. You know, if it's a stopover, Woodman, not sure if you're familiar with those areas,
yes.
Pawpaw. This is really a major issue. It's not just a major issue because anecdotally, I don't have any hard and fast rules or hard and fast numbers or timelines, but it's been a problem countywide in terms of response times. And there's been prior complaints against your predecessors over the fact that, you know, they wouldn't leave ALS units available in communities. They would have them out doing medical transports. There would be an accident or an acute medical event, and there would not be an ALS truck available. So what can we do to help address this? Because, I mean, something's got to be done on this issue.
Yes, sir. Yes, and I agree. It does. unfortunately, our community, our pool, is for a better term, our pool of viable candidates for EMT courses is getting smaller. So the staff, if we could really get some support with the state to help us regain the hold on those classes to where we could start boosting our numbers, that would help tremendously.
I mean, we've got a community technical college system here that should be well suited to do this. But I do understand what you're saying. Instead of community colleges and local hospitals offering these classes, I know even when I was in college at Eastern Kentucky University, they had started an EMT and paramedic training program. And, that's, it's not possible for people to go to class at Eastern or UK or somewhere. So has your company reached out to anybody in the Bashir administration to address this?
Yes, I think that we're working now. We have some lobbyists that are working to try to help with this. We would take all the support and all the help we could possibly get with Governor Bashir.
Has this been brought up to K-beams or?
Oh, yes. The another issue that we're having with this is the numbers. When you look at the actual amount of paramedics and EMTs that are working currently in the state of Kentucky, it's nowhere near the amount that are actually registered and certified. We have several of them that now work in hospitals, work as technicians in the emergency rooms. It's just they go to greener grass. That's a better way to put it. So we'd love to fix this. We really would.
Do you have any suggestions?
Well, I talked to Chuck O'Neill today. He's the deputy director of K-beams. And he said that if we had any suggestions, they have a board meeting on Thursday at 1:30. It's going to be a Zoom meeting. They sent me a link to it if we want to be there for public comment and make any suggestions to them, they would consider them.
Well, I mean, this is not an issue that county governments can address at the county level. I think you would acknowledge that. But something's going to have to give on this before it's going to cost somebody their life, if it's not already done that. Reggie, you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, some of the things that Bill shared with us are take a little time to mature. It's a process for them being new in the area. The one thing that I see with these folks is a huge leap forward in technology to track their runs, track all their timing, track their scheduling. They have a worldwide presence as a company, not just Eastern Kentucky, for people who are not familiar with AMR and all their subsidiaries. So this is not a small operation. And I think given time, if they can recruit, they have the technology to be successful here, unlike maybe some others that have been here have tried it locally. Very organized, decent level of management skill from what I can see. And I think they have a chance. But until they can recruit and stop the bleed off of talent and generate interest in this profession, it's going to be an uphill battle for everybody, and it is statewide now.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it possible, and I don't fully understand, when I say K-beams for the folks listening, it's Kentucky Board of Emergency Management, Emergency Medical Services. Have you talked to anybody at maybe Appalachian First Response to see if they would be able to cover the Phelps area? They would have, I know that's your CON territory. Is there any way that you could do any kind of mutual aid agreement or anything along those lines that would allow them to answer an emergency call if they have a unit available, because they could be there probably faster than you can from Pike?
Yes, sir. Our policy states that if we can't have one of our units en route within 10 minutes, our dispatch has been ordered to try to find mutual aid, and they will call first response. We do call other ambulance services, sir.
The problem is if you can't get somebody en route within 10 minutes, I mean, if you, say you got 10 minutes,
Yeah.
they're en route, you got another hour drive.
Yes.
So you're at hour and 10, you get to
Yes.
the patient, triage, treat, load. You're about, close to another hour back.
Yes.
Depending on where you are, of course.
Yes.
I really do think you need to look, even with existing manpower, trying to base some units at Kemper or Phelps to try to cut down that response time. I know that's additional cost, but from my perspective, it's not, you do have, how many units are you running in Pike County right now?
We have 10 and we staff 6 to 7 a day.
Okay. I mean, one or two of those units in that part of the county would, to me, go a long way to reducing response time. I mean, if you think about, the golden hour, most people that may not know what that is, my day job, I've taken depositions of a lot of paramedics, flight nurses, EMTs. If the golden hour is the patient's best chance for survival after trauma or an accident is to get to a hospital within 1 hour, correct?
Correct, sir.
That can't be done if you're an hour just to get to them. Your golden hour is spent driving to Phelps, or driving to Blackberry, or driving to, Elkhorn City, or driving to, Farrell's Creek or somewhere. So we're going to have to really ask you to look at how you could arrange. This is not doable with you basing all your ambulances, in my opinion, on Island Creek.
Yes.
And if something's not done to try to put some units in those parts of the county, then as county judge, I'm going to have to file a complaint with K-Beams because of that very issue. And it's not a criticism, it's just something that's got to be done.
Oh, I understand. And
Because,
I'd like to say it has nothing to do with cost.
And I understand the manpower, but if you've got 6 or 7 units running today, 1 or 2 of those needs to be on the northeastern side of the county, southeastern side of the county.
Do you all have a place at Phelps?
Yes, sir, we do.
You just don't man it all the time, right?
Correct. Just simply because of our call volume that we have in Pike County.
Have you thought about, is your CON limited to 10 units?
We can expand the CON. That's
But it won't do any
again,
good if you don't have people, right?
correct, sir. Correct.
Have you checked to see if there's any, retired paramedics or EMTs in the area that you might be able to get to come back to work?
Well, we've spoke with Doug and said if there's any that's out, we would love to have them. We have openings on our website. We post them on the K-Beams website and national publications. We're trying for everywhere to get people to.
I mean,
come
you
to
said
work.
it's national. This is a national problem.
It's a national problem, yes, sir.
Reggie, Judge Hickman and I've had this conversation. He was an advocate many years ago for, some counties, some large counties own their own ambulance service. And he was an advocate for many years to create a county-owned and operated ambulance service like the city of Pikeville has an outstanding ambulance service that they provide in the city of Pikeville. That opportunity passed by. And, that would have been a great idea, but we're going to have to do something on this one way or the other. And, you have the support of me. I think I can speak for these gentlemen that we've got to do something about this, and if we can help, we will. But, I do understand there is an issue with the shortage of EMTs and paramedics.
I will, tomorrow, I will reach out to Bill Ball at AFR and see if we can do a mutual aid agreement, see if there's some kind of agreement we can come to.
I mean, I would even go as far as saying if he has the manpower, and this is something that I would hope that your company would look at favorably, is to alter the service areas under the CON if he can cover that area. And I'm not a spokesman for Appalachian First Response. I'm a spokesman for whoever can provide ambulance service in a quick manner into Phelps. And we don't need to me, territory lines on a certificate of need shouldn't stand in the way. And if you all can't provide that service, and Bill Ball or whoever owns that company now can, work with them, give them that territory, because it's just a matter of time until somebody has a bad accident, or a medical emergency, and they don't make it to the hospital because they've waited so long for an ambulance. So,
Doug, is it, does Bill's service area prohibit him from coming out of the Belfry area?
As I understand it, he's got a CON for the county as well. He
Countywide,
just
yes.
chooses to stay in his little area over there.
okay, so it doesn't specify.
No, it doesn't specify.
It specifies that we can't come into his area. That specifies on our license that we can't go into his designated area.
So where is his designated area?
Usually from the top of Bent Mountain, covers all of Big Creek, Turkey Creek, Belfry, Hardy, Blackberry.
So he's got Blackberry, and
Yes.
then, but the CON doesn't limit it to that,
No,
and your CON
my
doesn't.
understanding.
So, but they do designate their own service area.
Yes, he
Is
does.
that what you guys do too?
No, we're designated by our license through K-beams, through the state.
On what areas?
For Pike County, every area except for the area that Bill Ball has designated as his service area.
Okay.
And that's on our license that we can't go in unless
So
we're
maybe
asked.
we need to have that conversation, and it may be that he's in the same position and can't pick it up. But it is something I think we need to look at. So thank you very much for coming in. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we let you go? Any other questions or comments?
It's been covered pretty good, but it's still, Phelps does need, if they just had one ambulance over, just to cover the Phelps area, that would have to be a big help to them people in Phelps.
And a thing too, Judge, we've got that care center that's going in over there. I'm gonna say that the ambulance business will pick up a little bit with that too. There's gonna be people come in there that maybe has to come all the way to Pikeville for the hospital,
Another issue that we run into with the way our license is that we're required to respond to everything within Pike County, like I said, except for Bill Ball's area. So if we have a truck in Phelps and all of our other vehicles are busy and a 911 call comes in, say Elkhorn City or somewhere, they have to respond, they have to leave that area.
It's a major problem.
I understand it, yes, sir. Yes, I understand.
Countywide, not just for a particular part of the county, it's a major problem.
Yes, sir.
And I understand that your patient transfer calls, you have to do those to keep the doors running, to keep the lights on and the ambulance is running, I should say. And unfortunately, though, this is something that's going to have to be looked at because, medical transfers, taking the ambulance out of the county or on non-emergency runs, there really needs to be some kind of reserve for an emergency. I don't know how we go about doing that. That's something probably that K-beams would have to specify, but it is something that's going to have to be looked at, and we're going to have
We
to
have
raise
to
that
keep
issue.
one ALS unit available. We can't send that last ALS unit out of the county. So we have to have at least one.
It's a big county to
I know
only
it
have
is.
one ALS unit.
I know it is, sir, yes. I worked in this county before many years ago.
Yeah, and that's not workable. One ALS unit available to serve,
I know.
probably if you factor out Bill's area, you're still probably talking 600 plus square miles. So
Yes, sir, about that.
we'll be back in touch with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And happy birthday, Judge.
Thank you, sir. All right, Judge Hickman, I'll just leave you there. Next item is discussion of a notice of intent to expand the existing Pike County landfill.
Yes, sir, we got it.
Well, this is a good birthday. This is an early birthday present.
It is.
We want this to get to the media because we have received approval of our notice of intent for a contained landfill horizontal expansion for the Pike County landfill. And this is very good news. The notice of intent was for proposing the expansion was approved, and now we're moving into the administrative review phase. We are in the process of drilling the core holes that the state has specified. And I think this is important because if we had waited, now let me just say this, if we had waited till this year to start looking at the landfill situation, the landfill would shut down well before early into the next administration. It was a situation that had been overlooked, ignored, for whatever word you want to use, but we inherited this situation and we're fixing it. I'm not going to point fingers at anybody, but this court has taken a tremendous step forward in making sure that we will have a landfill here for the next 50 years, long after most of us will be gone. It is important for every business. It's important for every residential customer to contain cost. So I want to personally thank you for the hard work you've done on this. It's been a lot of work. William Spears, our safety director, has done a lot of work on this as well, not based on his safety experience, but on his prior work in the coal industry.
That's great.
We have approved the agreement with the Ross Harris Group. We're waiting on the deed and the preparation of a lease agreement to do a property swap that will give us control of the mineral underneath the landfill, so that will not be an impediment to expanding the existing landfill. And I think it's fair to say that, you know, the options we had were simple. We could wait to shut down the landfill when it reached capacity. Then we're going to be $3 million short. The escrow account just closes $3 million short. You could shut it down and then haul the garbage to Ashland or London, which is going to be a substantial cost and increase rates regardless of who the judge is. Or 3, you build a new landfill, which is probably 3 times more costly than the expansion. Or 4, you do the expansion, and I think this is the way to go. I think this is the cheapest alternative and the best long-term alternative, and it is very good news. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Copy is in everybody's packet in case you need it. The next item is a second reading of a proposed road ordinance adopting Loftus Hollow into the Pike County road system. Mr. Keene or Colonel Downey, which one would like to present this?
Yes, Judge. This is the second reading, and basically what we have is a road that's, doesn't meet the minimums width-wise, but there is they've looked at it and wish to take it in, and we have all the appropriate signatures, and it has been reviewed, so we ask that the court adopt this and to put this on the county road system. It's over at Loftus Hollow.
Is there a motion to adopt proposed road ordinance adopting Loftus Hollow into the Pike County road system? We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. The next item is the awarding of bids, and unfortunately, Greg Fannin is in the hospital. We want to, we don't have any bids to award, but Greg's been a little bit under the weather, and we want to wish him well. I know he's watching the court meeting, and he was arguing with the doctors because he wanted to get out for the court meeting. So Greg, we hope if you're watching that you're feeling better, and we'll see you later in the week. Next item is the Pike County Road Supervisors Report. Mr. Little.
Judge, I would just like to say that the new paver is working very well. We had a little hiccup today with our backup paver. We'd been running both of them, but maintenance garage has assured me that we will have that thing up and running very quickly.
How much paving have we done so far? How many miles between the two?
Oh, I've got those numbers on my desk.
Whole lot.
Not enough.
We're running somewhere probably around 10 mile, 11 mile.
So we're about a third, maybe fourth of the way done with what we've got money to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
tonnage wise, I think we've put down, goodness, I don't know. It's, all that's on my desk and it's slipping me right now.
Why don't you run and grab it? We'll
Let me-
let you,
yeah, let
you
me
can
get it.
update the public on that here in just a few minutes. So we'll go ahead and do the approval of the Pike County Commissioners' recommended road maintenance list for the upcoming period. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. And is there any need for, Reggie, is there any need for executive session tonight? Okay. So, we do need executive session. Hopefully this will be fairly brief. Is there a motion to enter into executive? First of all, I need Mr. King to instruct the public and the court on the relevant provisions of the Kentucky Open Meetings Law related to executive session.
Judge Hickman, is this personnel? It'll be 61-810 subsection F to discuss specific personnel matters.
All right. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes, we'll stand in recess for a brief period for executive session, and we'll return at the call of the chair. We'll call the court back to order, and is there a motion to adjourn from executive session?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tackett, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robertson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. It is my motion to approve amendment of the court order from September 23rd to state that Brian Bunch's hire date is September 14th, 2020. Approval to hire Lori Goff, to move Lori Goff to a 3A rate of pay. Approval to hire Elijah Pauley temporarily as a loader at Solid Waste Area 1 at a 2H rate of pay effective 9/29/20. Approval to hire Kendall Pinson temporarily as a mechanic at the maintenance garage at a 5H rate of pay effective October 1st. And then the move for Ms. Goff to a 3A rate of pay is effective 10/6/2020. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth, Judge Jones.
Yes. That concludes our personnel matters. Department Supervisors, Mr. Little, just briefly, how much blacktop have we laid? 11.9 miles so far, and the crews are still working on that, so thank you very much. Mr. Tackett, anything, sir? Thank you very much. One thing is, if you would check with me, there's someone that asked me to check and see if Lifeguard was sending crews from Pike County to cover surrounding counties. That was brought up to my attention. Thank you. Mr. Williamson, anything, sir? Did you pick that stuff up I called you about this weekend? All right. At the golf course, if you would, please, let's make an inventory of stuff that we might be able to auction off down there. Whatever it may be that we could get some, money back, or if there are any assets down there, we don't want them wasting. Okay, if we've got scrap metal, anything like that, we need to get it to the recycling centers. Okay. You and I may drive over there and look at it one day. Appreciate it. Commissioner Robertson wants to go too. Mr. Spears, anything, sir? Who's doing that training for us? From the Pikeville Fire Department. Tell them we greatly appreciate their help. Okay, so they're gonna, so explain that to me. The ARH will do the certifications.
There's a fee for the card, it's like $25 a card. ARH is waiving that.
Well, tell the folks over at Tug Valley we appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Kaiser, anything? Ms. Vanover? Thank you very much. Colonel?
Judge, just to quickly take the court, the dilapidated house that we looked at.
Come up to the microphone. They may not be able to hear you. I should have said that to the...
I just wanted to update the court on that house that we had looked at the last time the court met that was dilapidated of the Belfry Area Commissioner, and I went up there and he taught me the way how to get around the PVA's office real quick. But we located the owner, we located the property. I've done some research. I've got the owner located down in Alabama. I've also talked to the road commissioner, and if he does any work over there, he's going to document it so that we can ask for our cost. I guess we'll just see how this one plays out. But we have identified the property, and we know we've got a couple addresses on the person, but it is somebody from out of state, and the property's valued at about $5,000 according to the tax roll. Our next step is that we're going to see if they're current on taxes. We attempted that once, but the system, I couldn't quite get it to work the other day when I looked, so I've got to make another trip down there. So that's kind of where we stand on that one. I just thought you all may want to, I'll keep you apprised.
All right. Yes, sir.
I was just wondering if that's something that the court would want me to go ahead and do, as to deal with the problem of this house.
Yeah, we need to go ahead and do that.
I honestly think so also, because it is going to, we'll either do it on our own time or we'll be doing it when it files.
Go ahead and get it taken care of.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Mr. King, County Attorney, anything, sir? All right. Judge Hickman, anything, sir? All right. Commissioner Roberts in District 1.
No, I'm just real satisfied with the asphalt we're putting down on some of these county roads that really needed it. Fabian's done a great job. And I want to thank all the workers in the county. They're doing a great job too, helping him get this done. And hope Greg Fannon's all right. Wish him well.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Tackett.
Judge, I'd about like Commissioner Robson there. I think these guys has worked real hard this following his blacktop, from truck driving to I guess Robbie backing them into the hopper. You know, I've been out there quite a bit with them, and I still getting telephone calls. You know, they just got to be patient. We'll start in one spot and just keep moving. As long as the money lasts, we'll be around. We'll just have to see where we end up at. That's about it. Hope Greg gets to feeling better. Keep him in your prayers.
Well, Commissioner Booth.
Yeah, Judge, I want to thank our employees. I want to tell you, I think they're doing an outstanding job blacktopping. I told Fabian the other day, I was up in Benton Fork over at Meat House where Danny and them done some patching on the road over there, and boy, where they done the patching, it was just, I couldn't believe how smooth it was. Really done a real outstanding job. And I want everybody to remember Richie Mullins, one of our transfer truck drivers. He lost his dad unexpectedly the other day. Remember them? I think they're burying him tomorrow. So we'll remember the Mullins family. That's all I have tonight, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Just briefly, the last day for the 2020 census has been extended to October 31st. We still have very low response percentages in Pike County. It's very important that everyone participate in the census. There are census takers currently going door to door, and we need to encourage people to continue doing the self-response, even if a census taker doesn't come to your house. 3 ways: 2020census.gov, by calling 844-330-2020, or by mail by returning census questionnaires. That's all I have, and we will be having another meeting on October 20th, and that will be a morning meeting. And appreciate everyone for being here. It's a late night, and we've got a lot of stuff we're working on. And hopefully in the next few weeks, Commissioner Robertson and I'll have some very positive news for the trail system. We're optimistic. We can't disclose that just at this point, but we've had some very promising conversations, and a lot of work to continue to do. Please be safe. Please continue to maintain social distancing, wear a mask. There are still a lot of people getting sick. Our positivity rate has moved us into the red category. Kentucky is seeing a substantial increase in cases. I think what we're seeing now is what we had talked about early on in the pandemic, about this exponential growth, and I think we're just now seeing it. And it is a very bad disease. Disproportionately hits our elderly and our persons with diabetes who are overweight, smokers, and we've got a lot of folks in this area with pre-existing conditions. So please be cognizant of the fact that your behavior, what you do, may impact people in your community, including your loved ones. That's all I have for tonight. So at this time, I would ask Mr. Jerry Huffman if he would say the benediction for us. Jerry, you want to go up to the microphone and do it for us?
Hey, first of all, Judge, I'd like to me and my family like to wish you a happy birthday.
Very much appreciated.
And so, Heavenly Father, we like to thank you for this time that we have been able to take care of the business of the county, and we pray that you'll, as we go to our separate homes, you'll watch over us. Keep us in thy care, Heavenly Father. And
Amen.
We ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Jerry, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. We are adjourned.